It's time to be empowered.
A couple of weeks have passed and you are listening to the Be-Mpowered podcast. My name, if you don't already know, is Simon Miller, and fuck me, do I have a very interesting and special episode for you today. I've always said that this podcast, it's in the name for goodness sake, is about empowering people. And one of the Be-Mpowered Universe, which I'm going to steal from wrestling, one of the Be-Mpowered Universe got in touch and said, Simon, damn it, I'd like to be on your podcast. And I said, my friend, you can be on my podcast. So for today, in a debut, who knows, maybe we'll do this again, I don't know. We have the one, the only, it's Mr. Sharn Daniels.
Yes, Sharn Daniels, also known as Sharn of the Dead.
Sharn, that's right, Sharn of the Dead. Yeah, you actually have a good Twitter handle, unlike mine that I just stole wrestling analogy and dumped it on the end of my own name, which is pretty bad. But
yeah, I use that name for everything, Twitter, YouTube, the lot. So
well, there you go. So if you're interested in seeing what Sharn is up to, just look for Sharn of the Dead and he'll be there. Yep. So yeah, basically, Sharn, you got in touch with me. You said you're passionate about gaming and you want to come and empower people. Now, as an empowerer myself, how could I ever turn? I can't turn the opportunity down. So this is good. I like it. Someone who has listened to the Be-Empowered podcast, has found himself getting empowered through it, is now going to empower you too, which means the circle of life is complete.
It is indeed. I cannot wait to empower people.
Exactly. They love it, man. They love it. Or if they don't love it, they send me a message me calling me a wanker. Either is fine.
Yep.
A lot of people don't seem to realise it's kind of a joke, but it's all good. Anyway, so what we're going to do is, Sharn, you sent me a list of games that you're interested about. Yep. So literally what we're going to do is we're going to run down this list. We're going to chat about them. Some are pretty topical, really, as I'm just looking through now. And one is especially topical because there was a gap last week with the Be-Empowered podcast. I apologise for that, but sometimes, life throws you curveballs. Yeah, life gives you lemons and you try and make lemonade and you screw it up. But it kind of worked well because the last podcast I did was with the man, the myth, the legend, David Lynch.
Yes.
We'll be back on the BM podcast very, very soon. But we both ripped into the Order 1886. Now,
You did.
But this is good, though, because the first game you've put on this list is the Order 1886. Honestly, man, I know a lot of people who are, they're big into Sony, they're big into the PS4, but even they are a little bit skeptical about the Order 1886. So, my friend, this is your chance. Tell me, why should anyone be excited about the Order 1886?
Well, I think because games appeal to different people. This one appeals to me a lot, and I'm cautious. I am optimistic. I know it could be generally shit. That could happen, but I just like the whole setting. And one of the things you've called it out for is that it's quite drab, dreary looking brand. But then so's Bloodborne, and everyone's losing their fucking mind over Bloodborne. Think, that's brilliant, can't wait for that. Or
that's a fair point.
And which I've noticed, and there's other games along those lines that look kind of dreary. And that even in Uncharted 4, it looked it's not exactly a colourful game, and they all seem to have this very realistic look. But I think I like the Order because it's different, and considering it's coming from a studio who did mainly PSP games as well.
Yeah.
I think it's an ambitious project, and I think it's trying to make a big statement, and it does look like a movie. And
I take your point that it's that weird thing that people that like video games do, where it's all right for Bloodborne because everybody likes the legacy where Bloodborne has come from, so that can look drab and dreary. Whereas the Order 1886 is a brand new IP that got delayed a lot, and as you've just said, comes from a studio that makes mobile games or portable games. So therefore, it's like, right, we can chuck all the shit in the world at this, and it's okay. But you make a good point. Like you can't judge either really this game or its developer on its own merits because there are no merits at the moment. It's a brand new, start for these people.
Yeah, I mean it's a big risk, and the second risk. There's a lot of quick time events in there, and I don't mind quick time events as long as they're used right.
Yeah,
I mean, if you remember, Resident Evil 4 had a lot of quick time events in it, but people love that game. Same with the latest Tomb Raider game. There's a lot of quick time, but it's used right and it's done right, and it's interesting, and it's not in terms where every time you go into close combat you see the same damn animation over and over and over. If it's going to be like that, then it's going to be shit. It's not going to work. But if it kind of keeps, if it's interactive enough and makes it interesting, and the way how the game unfolds. I mean, the whole idea of the werewolves, which is a nice break from zombies, because
that's true.
I'm sick of zombies. I am.
Well, yeah, all games do zombies now. So that's a good point. I mean, werewolves are, it's not like people don't know what a werewolf is. Yet no games really jump on the bandwagon. So that is a fair point.
and they've made them really interesting. I mean, that they haven't shown too much of the game. They haven't gone overboard, but the latest trailer, I mean, it's got that whole interesting lore around everything. They got this order of knights, and it seems that the story could be quite interesting. It could be going somewhere, really cool. The voice acting's top notch as well. I think the whole the animations behind it and the work they put into it, it does look high quality. It just is, as long as it just doesn't burn out or just
I think
monotonous,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's that question of they've shown a lot and yet no one's actually played much of it. And I think when you fall into that category, a lot of people, I don't know why, but it's just the nature of people to start questioning what it's actually going to be. And then when they do see things like QuickTime events, it's a good point. It's out of context. You don't know where these QuickTime events happen. You don't know, when you experience them, if it actually breaks up the pacing of the game or whatever. But, it's easier to hell shit than it is to clean it up. So that's what people do.
I think it is because these days, though, we're getting delivered a lot of broken games.
Yeah.
I hate slating them because they've had a lot of shit, last year and even now as Ubisoft.
I hate Ubisoft. Fuck those guys.
they need to, I mean, they should have delayed games like what they've done. They delayed their game until they felt the order was ready for, this year. Whereas Ubisoft could have done exactly the same with Unity and didn't. They could have delayed that. They could have took that chance to make sure that they didn't get all this shit thrown at them. And for some reason, they just decided to do that. I don't understand that. And that's why I am optimistic about the order. I mean, not only for me, I think it looks absolutely brilliant. I don't think it's going to be the game of the year or anything.
Yeah.
But I just generally think it's going to be better than what people are saying. Well, it's going to be better than what people have not giving it credit for.
Fair enough, my friend. I will take it, and I think your point about Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed is a fair one as well. Yeah. I think to back up Ubisoft, I think they were screwed anyway. I mean, that's the problem. If you decide to make your franchise yearly, then it's like what they should have done is they should have released Rogue and then postponed Unity.
They released two games this year.
I know,
last year.
I know, but that's because they felt, they felt entitled. Like we have to give our audience a next gen Assassin's Creed experience. I mean, because they couldn't win. Because if they had just released Rogue, everyone would have gone, "This is crap. Why isn't it on next gen?" Yeah. And if they released both of them, one's a mess. They couldn't win. They put themselves in a really bad position. And unfortunately, when these companies get to their yearly financials, they need that Assassin's Creed hit. So it's like, well, we can't just not put it out. It's Assassin's Creed time. So, but you're right though. We should respect Sony for having the balls for delaying a game rather than sort of jump down their throats.
I mean, I know they did that with Drive Club, and it still had a bad start. But at the end, you got to give them credit that they've kind of got it in a place now where all you see are Drive Club pictures in your feed on Twitter now because it's just they've kind of got it just that moment. But if that was released like that to begin with, then I think it'd have got
a different story.
Yeah, different story.
This is a whole nother argument as well. I mean, just the whole problem with the damn first day patch, which has become just commonplace. This is why the SNES will always be the greatest console ever. Yeah. You just put your cartridges in and go. You weren't allowed to release anything like that. But, as video games continue to evolve and all that bollocks, unfortunately, we have to deal with this stuff. Hopefully, it's just a passing trend and eventually people will start realizing, you know what, we shouldn't rely too much on a day one patch. But if that does happen, I imagine we're years away from it. Yeah. But you know what? Well argued, my friend. I mean, I'm still a bit on the fence about the Order 1886. I mean, I do have a PlayStation 4. I will play it. Yeah. I will play it, but I'm not 100% sure how far I get into it. But we will see.
Not long to wait now. I'm looking forward to it.
No, it's coming out at a good time. It's coming out because at the moment there's nothing. Everyone's desperate for new experiences, and that is a new experience in every sense. So I look forward to that. Right, so we move on to a game called Until Dawn.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to guess that maybe some people listening to this, maybe don't know what Until Dawn is. So I will leave that up to you. Tell me, what is Until Dawn?
Until Dawn, I mean, I didn't even know about this game, but it was meant to come out for the PS3, and it was meant to be to do with the Move controllers.
Yes.
To begin with, and I never heard of that until it was announced at E3. Oh, well, actually, it got leaked before then, but never mind. It's a horror game, and it kind of reminds me of the Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, the movie where it's the horror. It's basically the joke on horror movies. Is that one? Isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, obviously with a serious twist, but I think it does look interesting because it's very cinematic. It's like an interactive. I suppose you could probably say like Heavy Rain was.
Okay.
Where you have to make decisions literally on the fly in that game, and it doesn't seem to give you much time to make a decision. And whatever happens, whether you make the wrong one and you die, that's it. That character's like story arc is gone, and you continue with someone else.
Right.
And it makes for some interesting moments, because one of the key parts of the show is where two characters are strapped into seats, and there's a gun on the table, and he either has to shoot himself or shoot the girl in front of him.
Nice. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And that's I can't make my mind up half the time when I'm making a character on freaking Dragon Age.
Let alone whether you want to shoot yourself in the face or not. Yeah.
So I'm going to be a wreck playing this game, but it's got a lot of things I like from the old games. I noticed it's fixed camera angles. Which you don't see much these days.
No, not at all.
Everything's more or less third person or first, but they've got the fixed camera angles. Again, it's really atmospheric, and things can just happen. And you've got to react. I'm looking forward to it. There's not too much information on it. I know it's coming out this year. Yeah.
Well, I think what I like about that is, I mean, I'm a big mark for like choices in video games. Like it just gets me every time. Even though I'm about to contradict myself, but I do it every week anyway, so who cares? But even the choices which I feel like they've just been put in there to make a choice, I'm like, that's fine. I just enjoy the going through the motions of making a choice. But with something like Until Dawn, if they are trying to build this arc where it's like, you have this character and this character can die and your experience continues, but it experienced, with somebody else. And that can be a big thing in games. Like, with stuff like Fire Emblem, you can find yourself, even though they're digital characters, you warm to them a little bit. You don't actually want them. You don't want them to die. So if you do lose them, you're like, shit. But with Until Dawn, the question is making sure they find that balance between me caring about the character and the choice not feeling like, we're just trying to screw you over here. It's like, do you shoot a girl in the face or do you shoot yourself in the face? Like, as long as they can build it and tie it into a story and make the narrative make sense and, really make it feel like it's pulling at my heartstrings. And I actually think that could be awesome.
I mean, yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, again, I know it's based on quick time events, but I think this is going to be more like how the Walking Dead games were. I think it's going to be, I generally, it's going to be more about, you have to look around the environment around you. There's little things where when you hide under the bed, you've got to make sure you turn off your torch, in that split second.
That's
if
good.
You don't, whatever it is coming after you, it's going to find you and kill you and mutilate you. I think it could be really interesting. I want to see more about the game. And I generally think that could be a sleeper hit. I think that could be a really enjoyable horror game, because horror games are making a big comeback now.
Oh, yeah. PT sparked it off.
PT, really I tell you what. Oh, my man. When I played that the first time, I got to a certain part, I said, fuck this. Turned it off.
Honestly, man, like, I've been playing through Outlast again recently. And you kind of go through that, and it's a scary game, but it's manageable. You can kind of get your head down and go through it. But the first time I played PT, oh my! I've said this before. I'll say it again. I thought I was going to die. I thought what a horrible. I mean, incredible and brilliant and genuinely. I said this before. I think it's something we'll look back on in a few years and go, man, PT really sparked something.
Yeah, I think
fucking hell.
That could be a huge game changer for horror games, because most of them, a lot of them I've played focus on jump scares, just to scare you in that moment. But what PT did was put you in an atmosphere that made you feel uncomfortable in your living room.
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
And I didn't like it. I couldn't play it with my headphones on. Cause
I know a few people that...
Hearing things from behind you, and you just... God knows how the Silent Hills is going to turn out, because they showed a brief, concept trailer where they're going through the hallway and you see this thing and its head falls off, and next thing you're being chased down a hallway by this giant woman creature. It was so bizarre. And I generally think, as long as they don't make the puzzles too bloody difficult, where you're just wondering because eventually that's the point where you lose interest. You're just like, I've been doing this for 2 hours. I don't know what I'm doing.
That's the thing. It was fine for what was essentially a demo or a playable teaser. It's fine. It's fine for that. But in the finished product, you can't wait until someone realizes you've got to play Kojima's voice down a microphone. It has to be a lot more. I hate the word, but it's true. It's got to be a lot more organic than that. People have just got to kind of be able to stumble across the answer, not just I'll fucking stand on my head and do a dance in case that works.
I think Until Dawn's going in comparison to say Science, it's going to be a bit of a smoother ride. Yeah, I think that's going on the horror type of Michael Myers, Jason, you're being chased by a guy with a machete. Yeah, and I also Saw as well, because that had some moments in that way that literally got to make a decision in the seats. Either shoot him, shoot yourself. They're because they are obviously being tortured for some reason, aren't they? So
if Until Dawn can release and kind of not only ride this wave of momentum, ride this wave of momentum, but also kind of spurn it on. Yeah, I think the horror games are back, because Resident Evil 6 is the perfect reason that That's how publishers saw horror games. It's like, no, we can't do that. But now we're actually back in a place where, no, you can do that and people will accept it. So I'd be intrigued. Now, what else you got on this list? And before anyone comes at me, it's not my list, it's Sharn's list. So I'm not bringing this up. But Bloodborne. Now, Bloodborne in a way is a kind of scary game. And, Demon and Dark Souls have their own... Not scary, but they're certainly atmospheric and intimidating. Now, I know I am deliberately sitting on the fence with Bloodborne for the time being because I hate Dark Souls. We all know that. We won't get into it. But Bloodborne is a new game it's different. It's not Dark Souls 3 or Demon Souls 2 or whatever. Or Demon Souls 3. So I'm happy to wait and see what happens with it. But if someone asked me to write down my most anticipated games of 2015, I wouldn't put Bloodborne on there. You have. So, what you a Dark Souls man to start with?
To be honest, I like Dark Souls to a point, and then I just got fed up of grinding. To get I got it's a bit on a ledge. You just got shot off a ledge, and that'll be it. And I lost all my souls, and I was just like, you know what? I've spent about 56 hours playing this shit, and I just can't be bothered to carry it on. I realised how much time. Well, actually, no, I've probably more than 56, but I started to realise how much time I was sinking into this game. And sure, you got your little achievements where you feel like, oh, great, I've just beat that boss. Kind of feel like you've achieved something in this, which is what is a generally very hard game. But I think Bloodborne is going for a more action packed. It's faster. The combat's faster and slicker. There's an argument I see people making. Some guys comparing it to Devil May Cry. I kind of felt that way in the way the combat's quick. The combat is quick. It made me think of the original Devil May Cry, though, not this new lot they've been doing. And the whole, I don't like the recent ones at all, but it's the whole atmosphere, the whole the world around you, and it's, the enemies you're fighting as well. It's not a huge amount of Devil May Cry, but it did make me think of it.
I know what you mean. I don't know why, but I agree with you. But I couldn't tell you why I agree with you. But you have a point.
I can't really put the point any clearer for some reason. I can't seem to get it out right, but. It's just I just like the whole art style I've got with it. What's around you? It's very like. I mean, I still don't really know what the hell's going on in the game. All I know is that I don't even know exactly what you are.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's really minimal information on it. There's more stuff about it, but I do like the look of it. I do like the combat. I like the fact it's multiplayer, so you can have two mates join you.
Yeah, that's where I'm involved. Like everyone's, things are better with friends. So if there's a way that I can be sort of handheld through it, the co-op aspect certainly has me intrigued.
I like the fact that things can just jump out on you. And then, you could be just walking along, your mate's in front of you, he's fine, you're just behind him, next thing, something comes out swinging, and you're just like...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what made Left 4 Dead so good. That was the best bit. You're all talking to each other, then all of a sudden, I can't remember the names of the Left 4 Dead things, but the liquor or whatever would grab one of your teammates. They would shout out, "I have to go help him." It was great. It was dynamic events you never saw coming, and that's what made it so entertaining to play.
I think going back to my comparison to Devil May Cry, what made Devil May Cry fun was the combat.
Definitely.
Juggling with the guns, the hack and slash, and the combat in this looks fun. You got the shot, and the weapons look bloody great as well. You got a scythe that can turn into a sword or whatever.
Yeah.
The way they just flip it, like it's some kind of Power Rangers toy. And you got this either a shotgun or God knows what. There seems to be a lot of variety to the weapons, and so you can have different play styles. And I think it's going to keep it fun. I mean,
everyone's saying that it's going to be harder than Dark Souls. To me, I would be maybe not necessarily happy, but happier if they keep the difficulty level where it is, but then give me two mates to play around with. I think just some of those. Give me the same kind of hardness that those bosses were in Dark Souls, but then give me a couple of people.
I think it'd be easier than Dark Souls, mainly because Dark Souls was about literally parrying and attacking and just taking it in turns to attack, which for some can be incredibly boring. Whereas I think in this, it's more about rolling around, attacking as fast as you can, and then getting out of the way. And it seems to up that momentum of the combat, so it doesn't seem sluggish. And I think that'll probably more people be interested in that, because I think it's going to be a big game for this year. For a lot of people, it'll be the game of the year for some people.
I do, and I also think, and I don't think I mentioned this before, is that Sony, Dark Souls has a very. It seems bigger than it is because its community is very vocal about it, but it does have a niche following, and it's not like selling 20 million copies or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think Sony desperately want Bloodborne to be bigger than Dark Souls, especially because it's exclusive as well. They want it to be. It's a great catch for them anyway, but they want it to be like an Uncharted type of a system seller and things like that. So I think I got a gut feeling that to get more people in, it may be a little bit more accessible. That's you know what, and I hope that's the case as well. I've said it before and I've said it again. Games don't have to be deathly hard. I understand that's Dark Souls thing, but you can always. That's what difficulty options are there for.
Yeah, exactly.
Just play it on easy, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to play it on easy, but let me play it on easy.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at games, but I think it'll be. Yes, I do agree that by the end of the year, people will still be talking about it, and I do think Sony will see it as a massive coup. Which brings us on to remakes.
Yes.
Or in this specifically, which is out almost imminently, if not already, is a Resident Evil remake.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are talking about. Reviews went up this week. We may as well pimp Video Games review. Gave a 9 out of 10 from Mr. Stephen W. Burns.
Oh, yeah. I have a very similar opinion with him on this as well. And on remasters, where he says where you'd buy a classic Blu-ray. I mean, I've owned films 3 times for sure. I've owned them on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Yep, you upgrade. It's true.
Exactly, and for the price, it's perfect. It's about 16 quid. Or if you use your 10% discount that you get this weekend, you get it for a bit cheaper.
Yeah, it's
but
true.
It is a classic, and this is the type of remakes I like. Classic remakes, not ones that have been out for about a year or 2 years. I ain't got time for that. I mean, I can make exceptions if I've not played them. All right, I'll play it if it's come to the new console or something, but I'm not really interested. But I want to see things like the Onimusha trilogy remade. And,
I think that's a very good show.
Kessen trilogy, games that back on the PS2, PS1, Dino Crisis 2 needs a bloody remaster, big time. That's one of my most favourite games.
A lot of people like it, a lot of people do.
And for Resident Evil, this is like probably the best thing Capcom's done. I don't know. A long time.
Yeah, but no, it's true. I mean, it's true though. I mean, Capcom's output as late has been either Street Fighter iterations or Devil May Cry. They haven't really, they're not as big as they once were. Basically, they have lost a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they have big time. But like with this Resident remake, it's brought so many members back. And also, I say bring so many members back. I'm wandering around thinking, I don't remember any of this at all.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. This is why I think the Resident Evil remake is really smart. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Is that one, Resident Evil, as long as you bring it up to sort of 2015 standards, is still a very good game. It just it just is. And if you play it from a nostalgia point of view, you can see how many games tried to rip it off or sort of were inspired by it. But what it also does is it makes people forget about Resident Evil 6. And Resident Evil 6 really did, there's not a lot of people out there that enjoyed Resident Evil 6. I mean, it didn't know what the hell it wanted to be, and it was too convoluted and confusing. Whereas Resident Evil is very, very focused in what it wants to do. So you make it work on a PS4 and Xbox One, and people play it, and all of a sudden they forget about that. They go, oh shit, Resident Evil is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Steve Burns said in his musical review.
Of course.
The mansion itself is almost like a character. Every room you go in, it's kind of plays a part. I mean, it's just one moment where you go in and there's a bathtub, and you're like, you some pour water and a zombie bursts out of it, and that's the only thing that happens in that room. But it's everything seems to have a purpose. In the game, and it's so. I mean, sure, it's a bit archaic. It's some people say, it's old and it doesn't stand up to today's standards of games, and it's not as good. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? It's like most of the games today have big flashing emblems telling you what you should do, because clearly, for some reason, it's like I was watching a playthrough of the new Assassin's Creed Dead Kings DLC. And there was a moment where you just activate Eagle Vision. It's like big lettering, like these braziers to carry on in the game. It's like, why can't someone just figure that out for themselves? Because in Resident Evil, you literally have to try and figure out what you need to do. I mean, there's been moments I'm just thinking, I don't know how to do this bloody puzzle, but it's kind of fun because you've got to figure it out. It's trial and error.
Yeah,
and I think
it's old school, isn't it? Like
it's old school. Everything's spelt out too much these days. I feel like. And it's nice to have that challenge. It's not too hard in the fact that you're going to be spending too long, and there's a lot of micromanagement that can be a bit annoying because you're constantly having to go back to a chest to just get something else and actually thought you needed it and you didn't.
That's very of its time as well, though, isn't it? I mean, I saw a lot of people. I think we all saw a lot of people complaining about there's no checkpoints. It's like no, that's the whole point. The safe room or the typewriter is your moment of relief where you go, thank fuck I've got there. And it's interesting again because going back to what we were talking about before, Dark Souls gets that free pass because that's what it's meant to do. But Resident Evil is out of touch, and that's just a problem with the gaming community at large, anyway. But
because it's same with Alien Isolation.
Yeah,
right. I like the way you save games in that because it kind of gave you that sigh of relief after you got so far dodging the alien, you find one, and the annoying is that hostiles are nearby was one thing that can keep you on edge. And I know Dead Space did that as well.
Yeah,
I think
a lot of games do it, and a lot of games,
checkpoint. But I love that typewriter system. I think it's brilliant because it literally keeps you on edge. You have to get from A to B, and when you get in there, you feel so relaxed, and it gives you that moment just to kind of chill out and compose yourself before going back out there and having to deal with whatever's going to jump out at you.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it's like it creates something that now feels different, even though it's actually an really old game and is based on, probably the limitations are based on technology, if nothing else. It creates something different, and it does create a horror experience, which we've lost. So I'm actually, but like I said, I'll take checkpoints in any game. Like I just enjoy it, but I understand why they're not in this one, and I think it actually serves the game better. And I agree. I think it's the best thing Capcom have done in ages, and I think especially the Onimusha trilogy, I'd bring that back. I know a lot of people that love those motherfucking games. Like that is their memory of the PS2, especially the second one.
Yes, that's my favourite one, Onimusha 2, because that was such a great game. The third was pretty cool because Jean Reno was in it, but I'd love to see Capcom bring that trilogy back because it was brilliant. I really love that stuff.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they do an HD trilogy of that. I can see that happening. You've also mentioned you like a HD remake of Black. I'm not sure that's going to happen because I think that's in legal turmoil of who actually owns Black, but you never know.
Yeah, because they did do a game afterwards, didn't they?
Oh, well, what the hell was it called? It was
my God.
It was one word. Hang on, I look it up. I do this all the time, but I'm doing it again. I'm looking up. I type in spiritual. I'm going to get weird results. Spiritual sequel to Black, the video game. But yeah, it was. All I remember is it was done by Codemasters, and it was absolute garbage. I remember being shown it.
Back.
Body count.
Yeah. Body count.
Absolute garbage. We won't waste any time talking about body count. It was an unfinished, broken, very low budget mess.
To go from Black, because what Black did was make shooting guns fun, let alone shooting people.
Yeah.
And it was, and you could, to think that came out at the end of PS2. And it was a very good looking game. And I've seen a few videos of it since, and it holds up in a nice way.
They were smart with it. They made it. It was all about making you feel good about what you were shooting. And if you do that, you can always go back to it, play it for 20 minutes, and go, "Oh, I do feel good," because that was their intent. They're smart motherfuckers. I tell you, they knew what they were doing.
Definitely agree on that one.
Also, now, I don't know what this game is. I'm not going to lie. I may work in video games. Doesn't mean I'm the be-all and end-all. You've written a game here called Helldivers. Now, you'll probably start talking about it. And I go, oh, that's Helldivers. But for the sake of me, mostly, what the hell is Helldivers?
I'm looking forward to Helldivers. Right, it's a top-down shooter. I love twin-stick shooters. I'm big on them. I grew up playing a lot of them as well. And it's like kind of a, what do you say, hardcore twin-stick shooter where it's multiplayer focused.
Right.
So you have a team, but there's friendly fire as well, which can cause for some,
make you fall out with people.
Yeah, which is going to cause some huge fallouts, and it's got some interesting things in it as well. So like, say you need to call in a turret or some kind of equipment, you have to kind of like, how you used to put in the old cheat codes, left, up, down, up, right, left, right, triangle. Yeah. You have to do things like that to call them in.
All right, all right, that's different.
I think it's interesting. I think it's gonna. Some people like it, and some people are really gonna hate it. I think Helldivers would be like Marmite for some people because it does look to be really tough. But
are these codes sort of really long? It's like up, down, left, right, B, X, Y, left bumper, right bumper, go.
Not where it depends. From what I've seen, the ones I've seen aren't too long.
Right. Okay.
They're literally about probably 6 inputs.
Yeah.
But depending whether you get more powerful weaponry later on in the game, they could be a bit more confusing to put in. But not only that, is that the difficult thing, the things you're fighting, these monsters that are coming at you, they come at you in hordes. And the gameplays I've watched, I think I've seen people last about a minute.
Jeez, all right.
Team of 4, and literally they'll be shooting at the monsters, they'll be shooting at each other because they don't know what's going on. And
they kill each other.
I think it might put, because it is a game I've been looking forward to, because I like kind of like a hardcore thing. You literally drop into battle together, and you've got to complete objectives, and trying to get in and out, and it does look cool. I like what they're doing with it. It's just since last year, I can't remember last time I see it now, it's gone quiet, because I'm pretty sure it's meant to come out in 2014.
Oh no, it's one of those. It's gone missing in action.
But and I've not heard anything since. I mean, whether I'll look up now and it might have a release date or something, but but when I see it, I was like, damn, I'm looking forward to this. Can't wait to see it. But yeah, it was literally shown like ages ago, if I remember.
I like the idea of the sense, if it is that hardcore and you can kill your mates, I like the fact that eventually you will get teams where, you watch it on YouTube or whatever, and they'll be so in sync with each other and they're so good, you'll be like, fucking hell. I imagine it has the potential to be one of those games where you can just watch people do it and be impressed.
Or you could just have one dick who would just kill you all.
Or you can have that guy. And it won't last long, but it'll be fucking entertaining when he does. But I like the idea of it. I mean, my problem with top-down shooters, I do like twin-stick shooters, but some of them, are just so immensely difficult. And I know this is a theme with me, but if something kicks my ass too much, I do lose interest. But I like, again, I've said it already in this podcast. Like, co-op is a huge draw. Like, even a game I'm not particularly into is going to appeal to me more if I know I can play it with my mates. And I like the idea of being skilled at a game as well, especially skilled, while you're playing it with friends as well. So it's intriguing. I just hope it hasn't gone missing in action and never comes out. That happens to a lot of games.
It's one I wanted to bring up because, again, it's one that a lot of people, it's kind of gone under the radar. And a lot of people probably ain't even heard about it. But honestly, just YouTube Helldivers, check it out. Because I really do think it has the potential to be a really good, one of the best indie games coming out.
It's TBA Q1 2015, the information I can get, which is always worrying because that means that could be. It says Q1 just so that when it doesn't come out before March, they can write Q2. But I'm intrigued by it. I mean, it's by Arrowhead Game Studios. I don't know who that is.
Oh,
That's
right.
terrible. They made Magicka apparently a few years ago. All right, fair enough. Good. But we'll see.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't there Magicka 2 coming out as well?
Maybe. They're not making it.
No,
yeah, there is. It was announced at E3 Magicka 2.
Yeah, because all right, so you've got that to look forward to as well, I suppose. So, yeah, okay, but I'll be interested to see how it turns out.
Yeah, well, dude, like I say, you brought it to my attention. I will now officially keep an eye on it.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe other people will as well. Now, I assume the next game we're moving on to, you want to talk about the series in general. Now, this is a game that I have played. Someone that's been on the Be-Mpowered podcast before, Mr. Ashley Day, is a big fan of it, and I think he listens to most of these. So when this does go live, I'm sure he'll be listening. Now, I have played Earth Defense Force, and I have played Earth Defense Force a lot. And you know what? I think it's relatively entertaining, but I think it's entertaining for about 20 minutes. Then I'm like, I'm done. I can't keep shooting at giant ants.
It took me a while to discover the series. I think it was like literally 2 years ago. Yeah. And I picked up a few. I think it was in a sale. It was really cheap. I was like, I'll give this a go. I see a few videos. I think it was Classic Games Room. He was reviewing it and was saying it's brilliant. Check it out. And I did, and I loved it. And I was doing, but the thing is, it's great to play with co-op, but I had no one to play it with because everyone was like, it looks like shit. I'm not playing that.
Yeah.
I got addicted to it. I was constantly unlocking new weapons. I was thinking, this is great. And then a new one came out, but the only problem with it is the frame rate went to crap.
Yes, it did. I remember.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I mean, I don't get hooked up on frame rate too much, but when it's
when it ruins the experience,
if it's 30 or 60, I don't give a shit. But if it's like 10, I'm like, it's ain't gonna wash. But I know it's coming to PS4.
Yeah.
I know that they're bringing an Earth Defense game. It was announced. Hopefully, obviously it's coming out of Japan to begin with. Hopefully it's coming over here pretty soon. But I can't wait. I just can't wait. I think they're a great time killer if you just want to blast things to pieces and have a giant mech following you around. Because the last one was crazy. They went. It's over the top fun. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of things. It doesn't take itself seriously. The voice acting is cheesy as heck, and I like that. It's really, it's just a good fun game. It's something to just chill out with.
It doesn't take itself seriously as well. And I think that is something that games don't do enough. Like all fucking games have got to be like, oh, I'm the greatest thing ever. No, you don't. You can just have fun and that's all right. And like I say, Earth Defense Force, it loses me. Much like Dynasty Warriors games lose me just because it's like,
Love them.
I know. We're getting to that. It's the same thing. Is like I enjoy. Because I do literally, like I've said it before. I've said that so many times this podcast. Anyway, never mind. But Brutal Legend to me would have been awesome if I could just walk around and smack everything in the face with a giant guitar axe. But it wasn't. There was this horrible. I can't believe him saying it sounds ridiculous, but there was this horrible depth to it that I didn't want. But it is more like the kind of thing that Earth Defense Force or the Dynasty Warriors games offer. But for some reason, I think I need a happy middle ground between that. I'm happy just to mash X and watch cool stuff happen, but then I need something else. I need a dangling carrot, and I think those two games for me don't. they don't put. Maybe I just need story. I'm such a loser like that, but I need a story to sort of push me forward and
push you forward and something interesting to go. I can understand that.
But they are fun to play,
yeah.
and also the fact that you're shooting giant ants. Do you know what I mean? That's one
spiders.
Yeah, that just sums it up. That they know. Like,
it's great.
You know, if you were in a world where you had infinite ammo, what would you want to shoot? A giant ant? Yeah,
I hate spiders. I freaking.
Well, there you go. It's therapeutic as well.
I get to blast them to shit in a game.
Honestly, man, like you're not alone. Like I've chatted to a lot of people who really, really sort of dig those games, and they come out at a cheap price point, and they're like throwaway, fun to play, and you know. The production values are always low. I agree with you. Technically, they need to work, but the production values are always low, just so you can just get in there and go. And within the first 2 minutes of that game, you've already killed about 100 things.
Yeah.
And I get it. I really do get it, but I don't know. I think I'm just a sucker for narrative. That's always been my problem. Like story in games is the thing I get really excited about. And those games don't really pitch the best stories.
See, that's why you should be excited about the order there, Simon.
Well, dude,
so the narrative could be quite good.
It's well argued. I'm sure, like you've heard many of this podcast, a lot of my opinions don't hold up at all, but I have them anyway. But cool. Yeah, tying into Earth Defense Force, so you got around here, obviously the Dynasty Warriors games, as well as Pirate Warriors 3, which I believe is One Piece, right? Is that a One Piece experience? I did look it up the other day.
You played that. I think Chris showed you One Piece. I think
Chris did on the Video Gamer TV, which you can check out on YouTube and find it. Chris did show me a One Piece game, mostly because he loves One Piece and I just don't understand it at all.
I know. I tried to offer him a free game for ages and he just kept giving me the cold shoulder.
It's just Chris Pratt is a motherfucker.
Yeah. but no, that one I've not played. But the other One Piece games are pretty much very similar to just how the Dynasty Warrior games play. But the one, I think it's One Piece Pirate Warriors 2 I played. And I've never watched an anime. I didn't even know what the hell it was.
So you came to the game first?
That's interesting. I was giving it to review. And so I was like, okay, this is cool. I'll check it out. And I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. I was like, it just seems so colourful and fun and exciting. The characters were, larger than life, and I kind of like that. I kind of enjoyed playing that. And being introduced to it by a video game, I wanted to see more. Of it. And I've plundered so much time into that playing. And the cutscenes look great, and everything was just so colourful and vibrant. And just made a change. It almost looked like a Nintendo game, but on PlayStation.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a very good comparison. It does look like that.
It is. And obviously the new one is coming out.
It will be soon.
Away.
They drop from the sky like rain at those games. They just come from nowhere.
Well, like literally, I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of Pirate Warriors until I was handed this game to check out, and I just thought I've landed. I can't wait to play more.
I tell you what's refreshing as well, because I'll be the first to admit, if I would have been in your position and someone had given me that, I'd hated it. I would have absolutely hated it, because that's just who I am as a person. I'm a terrible human being. But I think it's awesome that you sat down and you kind of, you did enjoy it for what they want you to enjoy it for, because as far as I can tell, that is what One Piece is all about.
Yeah, I mean I look this. I mean, because I've played Musu games, Dynasty Warriors, from Dynasty Warriors 2, and I've played
hardcore.
Extreme Legends, Bodyguards, Empires. I
remember Empires.
Freaking getting sucked into the spin-offs. Oh God, Lu Bu's got a new weapon. Oh,
but that's good though, man, because that is the point. I know that person. I've chatted to them, and their face lights up when they go that, and that's when I hold my hands up and go, "Good for you, my friend." But I'm not part of that crowd. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I find the games relaxing as well. I mean, like the last Dynasty Warriors game was all right. I think Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends. I think
it was the last one. Yeah.
I wasn't too enamoured with the story, but what I'd like to do is playing it, sticking a podcast on, and just listen to podcasts and just
I get it,
and chilling out. Like some people do that with Diablo. I really enjoy playing those games, and you play them on Chaos and getting all the new weapons. You kind of like, you kind of get infatuation how you want 100% a Lego game. I don't know if you do.
I hate Lego games, but I hate everything. So I don't count. I don't count.
Thing. I want to get everything. And I've played a lot of them. I mean, I've just been playing Samurai Warriors 4 recently, which I'd say it's not better than the last Warriors game. It's on par. Mainly because, this is down my opinion, a lot of people love the Japanese voices in games. To be honest, because there's so much on screen, I don't know what the hell's going on, because I can't read the text. And then focus on doing what I'm doing at the same time. There's so much banter during those games between
there is.
characters.
Yeah.
And I would like it if they had it with the English voices, but unfortunately they don't. But I've been a big fan. I think Cowie done so many games. I think it's got to be the biggest damn franchise.
It's up there, no question. And I think that's why people get so upset when it's not reviewed by the right person as well. Yeah. Because you obviously get those games. Well, that's because people don't play them the way they're meant to be played. Like they're played and put up against the likes of, I'm not saying in the same genre, but they are approached with the same critical head as someone that plays Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty. Yeah. And when it doesn't have like high production values or whatever, multiplayer, however you want to put into it, people mark it down. Whereas there are millions of people like you, and I've chatted to loads of them. Like some good friends have said exactly the same thing as you, almost word for word. Like people do not understand this game because they're not playing it in the right way, and they're not. There's proof, and you're yet more of it that these games correspond to an exceptionally, they're niche in this country, but it's quite a big niche, and this niche knows exactly what they want, and the Dynasty Warriors games are giving it to.
Yeah, and the quality of content as well. I mean, Warriors Orochi 3, I think they released that as a special version for that on the next gen, but the amount of content you actually get, you got like 140 odd characters to select from, which is ridiculous. Yeah, and you got they've all got their own weapons, their own move sets. You got the different. There's a story mode that's literally going to take you about God knows how many hours to finish. I mean, I know a lot of it is repetitive, but at the same time, you can play it in small doses, or you can just go in for the long haul. So I do say I can, after a long time, get bored of it and come off it, but then I'll come back to it, and I know I'll still enjoy slicing up things as Lubu or whatever, and he is one of my favourites. And Guan Yu is awesome. I play those games a lot, and I can't. And was one thing I want to mention. I know it's not on the list, but
you can do that, my friend.
I wish they would bring out a new Kessen game. I don't know if you've ever played those.
No, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue.
Kessen 2 was like it's about the Three Kingdoms, and it was like a tactical combat game, like kind of like Total War, but it was on the PlayStation, and you literally had the whole battalion. You can change formation, you go into battle, you could have special abilities, cause an asteroid to come from the sky and kill everyone, crazy things like that. But the story was really good. It was great fun. It wasn't factual in any way. It was actually completely different to what actually happened, but it was enjoyable.
That's all that matters.
Kessen 3 was exactly the same.
There you go. So if anyone is listening, get a damn another Kessen game made, damn it. For Sharn. He wants it. You have an audience.
Even if it's just for me.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Before we move on, did you play Hyrule Warriors?
No, actually.
Okay, interesting.
I've got a Wii U.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing, man? It's waiting for you. It's right there.
It's literally right there. And I've just not had time to pick it up. Because I've got such a bloody backlog as it is.
Well, yeah, it's hard, man.
I've got Smash. I haven't even beat 3D World yet. I've not even touched the surface of Smash Bros. Because I tend to spend more time on PS4, and I know I should. Yeah. Bayonetta 2. I've played it. I freaking love it, but I've not finished it. I don't know. I feel like I'm like. I need to apologise to my Wii U because I just don't really play on it that much.
No, well, if that's the case, everyone needs to apologise to their Wii U. I think it's the other way around. Nintendo needs to apologise to us, although it does have some good games in it. But when you have played it, drop us a line, let you know we've finished. Because I fall into this weird character where I'm obsessed with Zelda but couldn't get on with Hyrule Warriors at all. Just wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. I still can't figure out what it was, but maybe just the whole. It wasn't enough to steer me forward. But I'll be intrigued. So yeah, when you've played it, definitely let me know.
It's on my to buy list, big time. So when I've got money, I'll buy it.
But one thing moving on to the PS Vita, which no one plays, but you should play it because a new Tearaway is coming out. It's called Tearaway Unfolded. Now I have played the original Tearaway, and I'm not usually a sucker for this kind of things, but my gosh, it was lovely. What a lovely game.
It is. It's one of those games I was just like, when I first played it, and one of the moments that made me think, you know what, this is brilliant. This is. And it was where you was asked to draw a snowflake.
Yeah.
And then I drew him a design. I was like, yeah, it looks all right. And the next thing, it started snowing. The design you drew, and I was like, it's brilliant.
Right, it's one of those games where it's just, you play it and you go, aren't games just wonderful? Like, it's not beating you over the head with any sort of political message, and you're not blowing things up into smithereens, but it's just very nice. It's just a very nice game.
It is, but this one is not for the Vita, is it? It's for the PS4.
That's a good point, yeah. Sorry, shut my mouth.
No, it's just a shame, in a way, because like Vita is kind of losing out on a lot of love. Really.
They've given up, haven't they? Sony have given up on it.
Revelations 2 is coming to Vita, which
that's true. That's true.
I was quite surprised by that. I didn't expect that at all. But yeah, I'm happy to see Tearaway to come to PlayStation, PS4. But at the same time, I'm kind of sad that it might not get a proper successor on the Vita, because I loved how they used it. Where you could pop your fingers through the back and kind of like come into the game world, or you can do different things. They kind of use the Vita to its maximum potential.
Exactly, and it's just one of those things which, I mean, they could prove me wrong. I haven't played on a console, so I can't judge it entirely. But to me, it just seems better suited to a portable device. And it's just one of those games that you want to be able to play on the go and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, it looked quite cool how you could use the light bar and it'll light up certain ways. And they're a brilliant developer. Media Molecule, they're just lovely. They're great, and they make lovely games. That it's kind of weird to use, but innocent.
They are. That's a very good way to put it. There's nothing sinister about them, and I'm not the biggest fan of Little Big Planet, but I much prefer Tearaway to Little Big Planet. But again, I bet you if I had kids or something, I'd fucking be well over Little Big Planet. But this is wonderful, because it's a game that you can enjoy with anybody. Anybody can sit down and understand what that is, and you don't get a lot of that in games. I know a lot of people go, "What about this game?" No. They don't exist. They really, really don't exist as much as they should. Or if they do, they don't make it to the prominence that Media Molecule have made their games. And I think it's important there is someone in the public eye that isn't just making games when people's faces melt.
Yeah, it is, and it's a lovely game. And I'm looking forward to play it, and hopefully it turns out quite nice. On the Vita, you had to use your finger and draw on the screen. I mean, on controller, are you going to have to use your analog stick of it, because the touchpad is quite small to kind of.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be refocused for a console. Because I don't want to do anything on that damn touchpad on the PS4. My fingers are fat and my instincts are slow. That would drive me nuts. So hopefully they'll make it a little bit less fiddly. But those guys know what they're doing. They rarely put a foot wrong. Yeah. So I'd be confident that whatever they release is up to standard.
I totally agree with that one.
Okay, now this is interesting. We're moving on to now, because I did touch upon it again a couple of weeks ago, but we're going to talk about it again, because as I found out over the last 2 weeks, after even insinuating that I wasn't excited about this game, I'm a terrible human being and I should die. No Man's Sky is releasing this year. Now, after I did get called out for it a little bit, I did go online and I read up a lot and I watched a lot of stuff. And now you're the second man to come to me on this podcast and tell me you're excited about No Man's Sky, and I'm still in the camp if I don't get it. But go nuts, sell it to me. I want to understand.
Here we go. Just recently, I made a big bold statement, and I'll drink my own piss if this game turns out to be shit. Right?
Right.
I've made a big bold. I reckon this could be one of the biggest games of our generation. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, you're not the only person to say it, man.
I think it's going to make. You know how Minecraft became so stupidly big.
Yes.
I think this will be the next big thing after Minecraft.
Okay, why?
Right.
What is it about it that you think is going to promote it to that level?
What gives me? I mean, one thing, because what was great about Minecraft, you could create anything you want. And what's I think is amazing about No Man's Sky is its ability to explore an entire galaxy, which is no one can comprehend it, because there's literally 18 quintillion planets. It's going to take you 585. Was it billion? I can't remember. Stupid amount of years. Yeah. The sun would have burnt out. We'd be all dead. Everyone would be dead. You're never going to finish the game. You're never going to explore everything. But what I think about that is that for every gamer, there's going to be a first. Someone is going to find something before anybody else ever sees it on Earth. And I think that's kind of amazing, is that, I mean, people are going to go crazy with the share button. You're going to have to find things and see things and do things before anyone else does. And what they recently released this statement, I can't remember his name, the guy who's working on the game at Hello Games. I can't remember his name, but his ambition and it's such a small team as well. Remember this. This is
three people over here.
Something like three people are creating this. You look at, and some games have thousands of people working on them.
Assassin's Creed.
None of them look as good or have the scope or have the thought as No Man's Sky. It looks beautiful. The planets themselves look amazing. The art direction is beautiful. But what I like is that he's trying to make it open-ended. So literally, you can kind of, their idea is that you can be whatever you want to be. There's nothing telling you, well, you can't do that. You can't be this. If you want to go around and be a dick and blow everyone else's ship up, you can do that. If you want to be a vigilante and go after people that are doing that, you can do that. If you and your mate want to reenact the search for Spock, you can do that. It's literally giving you so much scope. If you want to go and explore planets and just discover wildlife, and that's your thing. You can do that, providing something that no other game's done. And now there's games that have kind of done it. There's a what's that other one that's just recently come out?
I know what you mean.
Jim Drinker, don't shut up about it.
I know what you mean. Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous, yeah. But there's no planet down on that. You can't land on a planet and explore it and do things like that.
No, it's not on the same scale.
Yeah, it's not on that same scale. But what No Man's Sky is doing is literally giving you an entire galaxy to do what the hell you want in.
I admire your passion for it, and I'm not going to lie, that was a very good sell job. I'm impressed. I think No Man's Sky for me, like I say, I've indulged a lot of it the last couple of weeks. I think something I'm going to have to sit down and play. I think the stuff on paper for me is not enough with that. I need to be the guy that sits down and goes, holy shit, now I get it. But the thing is that is the game that keeps coming up. That is the game that it's under the radar at the moment just because they don't want to talk about it because it's not ready to go. But that is a game that keeps coming up in these lists. It keeps coming up in people's most wanted. People keep talking about it like you just did there. People get excited about it. And I think that for a game, like you say, made by 3 people whose last game was Joe Danger. Let's not forget that, which is great. I love Joe Danger, but that is a huge jump from like tricky little Trials game to huge open-ended space world. And I think the fact there's this much love for it, and the fact that Sony especially have got behind it so much, which probably means they've got maybe a bit more cash or whatever they needed. I do think it will come out. I do think it will make a huge impact. Does it get? I don't know if it gets to Minecraft levels, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I think it'll be a game. Come the end of this year, like we said with the Bloodborne, whatever it was, I think people will definitely be talking about it and be talking about it in a very serious way.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Think they've come from Joe Danger. It's almost like they wanted to make a game that they want to either spend the rest of their lives working on. Because I mean, some people just love sci-fi and space. I mean, I think it sucks that we really ain't gone back to the moon. Or, we have all these Mars missions and stuff, and space travel's just you're never going to really see it in our lifetime. It's kind of depressing when you think about it. And I think it's just great to you're going to actually kind of get to experience that in a video game. You're going to get to do something that you'll never ever do. Is be a spaceman.
Yeah, and this way you literally have an infinite universe to explore.
Yeah. I mean, you're never going to see it all, but that's literally it. You're never going to get to visit any of the galaxies. So you make the most of it. I mean, in terms of online play, I think it could be. It's interesting because they're kind of saying it's like a share world where you could actually end up in a place with all your friends, but you're not going to see all your friends. And I think that might be put off some people. So I was having this discussion with a friend who was like saying, well, what if we can't play together? What if it's going to take so long to find each other? Is it going to be worth it? Because, everyone starts on their own planet. Everyone's, I mean, to say that every single gamer is going to start on their own planet is, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's quite the statement to make.
Yeah. I think it's got a lot. It's got a lot to lose. I will acknowledge it, and I'll be the first to come out and say it if this game sucks. I was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said the things I said and hyping it up. But I generally, hand on my heart, I think this game's going to be a really big deal.
There we go. Dude, I like it, man. And I tell you, that is the perfect game to round off that list because you're passionate about it. You empowered me about it. I think I'm fucking excited about No Man's Sky now. But that's good though, man. Honestly, it's definitely going to be either for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, one of those games that people talk about this year. Because, I mean, the hype for it is already immense. I mean, maybe not necessarily in sort of mainstream press, but in terms of people that are well into their games, it comes up in everyone's chat. Like I said, everybody's chatting about it, and everybody wants it to be good. I think Hello Games have a lot of support and a lot of positive vibes. So we'll see. Like I say, I'm the man sitting on the fence, but most people are like you, and they're well up for it. So I hope they deliver.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, touch wood as well. I'm really hoping. I hope it because it'd be not only would it be a great success story. I think getting to create something so expansive and huge would be a big middle finger to every AAA developer out there as well. This is what you should be doing when you've got all the money in the world. Yeah. This is the type of game
true, man.
You guys should be creating, not a studio with a couple of people. That's what I expect. I want to expect more from AAAs if a small studio can create something like this.
Hell yeah, dude! That I agree with you completely. And that is it, my friend. You coming to the end of your empowered journey. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're feeling empowered and stuff. Just to before we do wrap up the podcast, just to do some housekeeping as well. You may have seen an announcement online that I am returning to videogamer.com Obviously, go there, youtube.com/user/videogamertv. But this doesn't stop. The Be Empowered podcast keeps on rolling. A new podcast every week at my YouTube channel, which is just, what is it, youtube.com/c/Simon316. It keeps going. It just means if you love me, there's 2 places you see me. And if you hate me, there's 2 places where you can tell me I'm a dick, which is quite nice, really. I'm basically doubling your options. But if I don't say that now, I'll forget it. I've done that now. I've done my housekeeping. I've done my business. But Sharn, my friend, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
anytime. Honestly, let's revisit this in a few weeks or 6 weeks down the line, or maybe when you played Hyrule Warriors, drop me a line and we'll revisit your gaming landscape. And we'll definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, when either there's some kind of preview event or review event for No Man's Sky, or when people have played it, we'll get you back on and we'll see if it's,
I have to drink my own piss. Hopefully not.
Well, you've said it now, man. That is out there. It's a verbal contract. If somebody wants to hold you to that, they can make you drink your own piss. So on that day, I would say just make sure you drink a lot of water and it won't taste that bad.
And not the first one of the day either.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah, that's the worst. But in the meantime, Sharn of the Dead is where they can find you on YouTube, Twitter, and all kinds of things. Is that right?
Yep, Sharn of the Dead, SHARN as well, just in case, because everyone seems to call me Sean or Shane.
Yeah, Shane of the Dead. But no, it's Sharn of the Dead. You can get him on Twitter, you can get him on YouTube. Follow him, let him know what you thought of his list of games. But Sharn, thank you very much for joining me. I genuinely enjoyed that. It's nice to get different opinion on games, because let's face it, no one agrees with me. So it's nice to...
I agreed with you on Wolfenstein, and I'm probably the only other person.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. Everyone, even NeoGaf hates me about Wolfenstein, so that is awesome. But for the record, 6 out of 10, just above average. I'm sorry that I used the review term, what do you call it, scale the way it's meant to be. But anyway, who's playing it now, Sharn? Who's playing Wolfenstein now? Nobody. That's who.
War is out. Let's have a shag fart on the moon. That's
Wolfenstein. Yeah, absolute crap. But that has been the Be Empowered podcast. We will be back in 7 days' time. Like I say, the video game and TV stuff is extra. You will be Empowered next week. You can get in touch with me on Twitter at SimonMiller316, or you can chuck me an email at simonmillard@gmail.com. But thank you for downloading this. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back very soon.